do what I do, though. I got
no, but Zuckerberg's a dropout. Gates is a dropout.
Hold on, no. Hold on.
They dropped out of Harvard.
People like Bill Gates and Zuckerberg quit school because they were too busy working on projects.
Correct.
If you're a guy,
but like, let's everybody calm down again. There we go with that status thing. It's really not. Destiny does not need to make it seem like he's doing something that the regular Joe, a 13-year-old, couldn't do.
Current education system. What do you think about the current education system that we have?
That's a really broad question.
Well, you said you like opinions, so go for it. Give us.
Okay, I don't have a strong opinion on things I don't know anything about. You want to talk about like colleges? You want to talk about like K-12?
You think go through both. You know, yesterday Kyle had a lot of strong.
So let's see what Destiny has to say about the current education system and everything, and you know, all of this stuff that he claims to not have a strong opinion about, but he actually will probably more than likely end up having a strong opinion about. I will also say that Patrick Bet-David might be the first man that I don't want to see a goatee on ever again. All right.
Opinions on, we should forgive all the college debt, all that stuff. But I'm talking more the format, like our educational system, K through 12, and you can go into college as well.
I read a quote a long time ago. I don't remember who it was from, but the quote that I read was that if you were to pull somebody out of the 18th century and you were to
you guys are going to hate me. I promise not to keep cutting it off. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and the notification bell. Thank you to everybody who's watching eye that lands on these videos. I'm not trying to be funny, but like at the end of the day, like I read a quote from somebody. I forgot who said the quote. I read so many quotes. Well, if it's that easy for me to say things like this and get into debates, what am I doing? I just think that was like too easy, I wouldn't use it if I don't remember who the quote is from. I guess I'm just I'm not perfect. I'm just saying that's why I don't say a quote that I saw until I look the quote up so I can get the name and share it with you guys. I know it's a small thing, but it bothered me just now.
Transport them into today, the only thing they would recognize would be the schools. That like we have a way of educating people, and we've done it for like hundreds of years, and we
that quote's completely false.
Okay, well,
we didn't have schools in the 1700s.
Nobody got educated anywhere in the.
We didn't have schools in the 1700s. We didn't have schools.
You see what happened? She said the quote is completely false. Okay, so it wasn't. You know what I mean?
You're like saying that they would recognize the schools.
There were no schools in England or whatever. People weren't like getting.
There must have been some sort of schools.
Colleges, but not schools.
Okay, colleges. Sorry.
But not schools. So they wouldn't recognize the school system.
Okay. What is our terms? Does college not count as school or?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
When you say schools, you mean K through 12. We call colleges.
Okay, well, I don't mean that, but maybe for the purpose of this conversation, then we can mean that. Okay.
It's like we can't even get to the point because now I have to stop again and agree exactly with what this woman is saying. When he said schools, I was really thinking K to 12. When somebody says college and trade schools and, graduate schools, stuff like that, then I start thinking, adult education. Maybe I'm the weirdo.
College is a separate thing from school. I feel like there are a couple of, if we're talking about like classes, I feel like there are a few basic classes that like every student should be required to take that we don't. So things like a basic home ec class, I think a basic psych and a basic philosophy course, I think would be really important. Like just a couple of the things that help us like exist in the world and like file our taxes and be like a little bit critical of like the things we watch. And then I know that largely speaking, I know that we've got troubles in schools that throwing more money, at least in some places, doesn't seem to help. But I think schools are hard because sometimes that's like the last stop of like a whole bunch of problems prior to that, right? If you've got a kid coming from like a single parent family who's not getting much sleep, whose household is in like a really, fucked up area, at that point, how much can a particular like K through 12 school actually do for the child? I'm not entirely sure. Past that, if we're talking about colleges, I think colleges are pretty okay in the United States. We have our really good schools that people all around the world come to get educated in. I think that people opt too much for out-of-state schools. You've got people talking about, I've got, $200,000 in debt. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Are you a doctor? And they're like, no, I'm like a mechanical engineer, but I did like 7 years of like out-of-state, plus tuition and board.
I'm going to stop him there because he's going to, I would imagine at some point somebody's going to bring up the ideology of what happens in colleges. I'm going to go back to what he was just saying. There definitely needs to be a home economics class, but not just with cooking. A class that teaches you to be organized, balance a checkbook, budget, yes, make healthy meals, Just things like how to run a household. I think that's very important. I think that a lot of people need those classes because you can draw back to that when you have your own family, right? I definitely math and reading and comprehension, true comprehension. I don't think that we should pass children along who don't know how to read. I think that's insane. I don't want a philosophy class. Nope. Sorry. I want a science class that teaches people how to collect data, understand variables in data, and come to clear assessments. Maybe there's not always a right answer. I want people to work on a project, right? Now, this is me talking as a nurse, but just stick with me for a second, right? We're going to say there's a certain lollipop that is always told to give to people as some sort of, guidance from our agencies, right? But I want people to do a project, collect data about the lollipop, also look at the other variables surrounding the lollipop to see if it really would work to help people with their current diagnosis or whatever. And when I say variables surrounding the lollipop, well, should everybody eat that lollipop? Should everybody, what does the lollipop do with the immune system? We know how a lollipop is made, but now how will the immune system take to that lollipop? I find that when I get in certain conversations with people, they're so honed in to their part of the conversation that they don't know how to have a holistic understanding of many things. And then, of course, because they can cite numbers and stats, they think that they're smarter than others. And it's like, yeah, you're smart, but you're not smarter than others. Like, we need to talk about everything surrounding said lollipop.
Everything, and it's like, why the fuck did you do that? But yeah, I think largely speaking, I think that like the college stuff is okay. I'm not a big fan of student loan forgiveness.
Why not?
Coming from like a working poor background before I got into streaming, I feel like the middle class asks for a lot of tax breaks sometimes. And when I look at like really working poor people, I'm like, damn, these people are fucked. Okay. And you want to have your student loan debt forgiven when you're going to go on to become some of the top tier earners in all of society. I think if you look at I know that
Very interesting.
Yeah, the cost of education has grown, but the average amount of time to pay back a degree based on getting a degree, I think is about the same as it always has been.
20 years to pay back your debt. That's the average.
I think I thought it was 15, but it might be 20. I guess 21.
I mean, even if it is 20, if that is something that you took on, you need to pay it back. It's just that simple. Like, I don't understand. Now, I will say the fact that we give our money to other countries for them to have free education, then I'm just like, well, why aren't we doing it here? Because other countries, we pay for their education. So how come we're not doing it here? So we can have that discussion. Maybe we keep the money that we're giving to other countries and we keep it here for the schools. I think we should have that discussion. But until then, we take out the loans. So then this is why, too, in high school, you should be taught, what are your talents? What do you like to do? Don't just go say you're going to be a doctor because somebody told you to be a doctor. What are your talents? And discuss trade school. That's something, too, that nobody really talked to me about.
Maybe for,
but
go-getters like you can do it in 15. But on average, I think it's 19, 20 years.
Maybe, yeah. But the people that earn college degrees go on to become the highest earners in society. So if we're going to target stimulus towards any part of the economy, I'd rather go towards people that are working poor and not towards people that are engineers that just want to get rid of a $500, $600 a month student loan debt payment.
You're saying targeting stimulus?
Or anything.
When we talk about rather than spend the money to pay off people's debt that they chose to incur themselves in order to get ahead in this life,
that they're going to be rewarded for.
Well, there are limits to it. And by the way, the whole Biden $10,000 student loan, it didn't pass, correct?
PBD's annoyed here because somebody didn't come prepared for the discussion.
It didn't happen. It got struck down.
I think it's in the
it's stalled in the Supreme Court. I want to say.
I think it's in the new.
Point is, nobody got the $10,000 or $20,000.
I know that the site was open, and I know people were putting in applications. I don't know if anybody's gotten it yet.
Don't get me started on these sites; they're crashing
on the websites.
But there were limitations. I think if you made over $150,000 a year, you did not qualify.
Yeah, and then people with Pell Grants were qualified for up to $20,000. If you were going to do it, I think it was probably the best way to do it, and it's maybe a good way to get young people to vote, even though they don't otherwise.
You even point this out. I'll say this: college prep and career readiness is a Ponzi scheme. They got your kid for 12 years. They've already convinced you, and they've got 12 years to convince the kid you need to go to college, because if you don't go to college, you're screwed. And
she's right. But obviously somebody would say, well, she's leaping to conclusions. What do you think about what she just said? How do you feel about that? Let me know. But she's right in a way. I remember there was this college prep course thing that came to my high school, and my father paid for it, and he was angry because I was not doing the college visits. And these people knew that 14-year-olds weren't going to be that organized. They knew it, and they got but my father wanted, he really promoted education in our house a lot. And I understand why. I'm not complaining. I'm a nurse today because of that man, right? But they take advantage of families, of parents who want the utmost best for their children. They do take advantage of that. Yeah.
And so you got to go to college. And what is that? That's just, you got to pay a lot of money to a school somewhere so that you have a college degree. And they're in nowhere in school do they say why you have to go to college. It's just so that you can earn the money. Mm-hmm. But it's not like, let's make a plan for you. If you go to this school, it will cost you $80,000 total over 4 years. And then you have this potential of this earning. No, you can go for basket weaving and get $200,000 in debt or whatever. And you completely unemployable. And so my point is, the whole thing is at this.
She's absolutely right. And this is where trade schools come in. Like they don't talk to kids again about trade schools, about, what is it that you like to do, and let's say somebody wants to be a nurse. You don't necessarily have to go to school for liberal arts, take 2 years to get your prereqs and then go for your RN. You can go to LPN school, get your license, practical nursing license, and then you could go back to an LPN to RN program, and then an RN to BSN program, or an LPN to BSN program, and then an RN to MSN program. So now they have a lot more of these bridges and stuff, which is good. But are the high schools telling this to the kids today? Do they even know? So there's a lot of money spent. Also, too, a lot of people do want to do the whole thing where I got accepted to this Yale. I don't know if this is still a thing, but I know in my generation it was. And they spent so much money into some of these people. They came out doing telemarketing. It was insane to me. I was sitting next to people because I had stopped going. I didn't know. I wanted to be a lawyer. But then I got bored, and I was a little irresponsible. I lived with my parents. I was like, what? They pay for my car, whatever. But then after a while, I was like, I want to do something with myself. And then my dad was like, you would make an amazing nurse. And then, here we go. And now today I'm a YouTuber, right? And he prays for me to hit it big with that too. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. But at the end of the day too, it's like, back then they weren't telling us all this stuff. And then you get these kids who I go to Yale. So then when I'm working as a telemarketer from some career staff, agency making $15 an hour, and I'm perfectly fine with that because I was at that time 22 and I was literally living with my parents and stuff, like some spoiled brat, and just wanted money to hang out with my friends. And I was sitting next to people who had bachelor's degrees. And I was like, what? I said, like I didn't go to school. I went to school and I had a couple, classes from, community college, but I didn't have the debt that they had at that time already. And they were sitting next to me getting paid the same $15 an hour. It was crazy. Let me know if you know anybody who had that experience. I'm sure as time went on, they were able to make their degree work for them. But the thing is, you were sold this thing after you graduate, you go to college, and then when you get out, you'll get a job. And so then when I saw that, it was a smack in the face. I was like, wait a minute. It was crazy.
At this point, it's just a Ponzi scheme. It might be based on data that came from 50 years ago, but at this point, we got to wake up and smell the coffee. Kids don't necessarily have to go to college. And you went to school, you graduated.
No, I failed.
Okay.
Well, I had to work too much. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're a dropout.
Wait,
Zuckerberg.
Not everybody can do what I do though. I got
but Zuckerberg's a dropout. Gates is a dropout.
Hold on. No. Hold on.
They dropped out of Harvard. Harvard.
People like Bill Gates and Zuckerberg quit school because they were too busy working on projects.
Correct.
If you're a guy,
but like, let's everybody calm down again. There we go with that status thing. It's really not. I'm gonna keep it all the way funky with you guys, and I'm gonna keep it so extremely like funky with you guys. YouTube is I'm like, well, what did I go to school for? Right? There's no limit, right? There's no limit. Destiny does not need to make it seem like he's doing something that the regular Joe, a 13-year-old, couldn't do. I'm so sincere, okay? There's nothing special about me. There's nothing special about Destiny. Now, I'm not saying that to minimize this person because you have to be consistent the whole bit, right? But you don't have to like have went to college. Like he's saying, well, no, it's different. And oh, well, Bill Gates and well, they look what they did. Yeah, but okay, but how about the people who didn't finish college and then who are doing YouTube, streaming, or they figured out how to market themselves? They're really good at making lists for people and organizing for people. And guess what? They market it on freaking Instagram, and then now they have a business. I'm just saying. So what they just did there, she's not wrong. She's absolutely not wrong.
that's failing, like remedial.
And I want to be clear. I'm not telling anybody not to go to college. I'm just saying, like, I don't like what I'm seeing.
Algebra, and you quit school, you're not going to become the next Gates Zuckerberg.
But bear with me. What I'm saying is you do not have to have a college degree to succeed in life. And so setting up a child and saying you have to have a college degree in order to succeed is a false paradigm. It's just...
It is. And so we'll even stop there. I mean, she's making the point. He's really upset. I don't know why. You don't have it, though. Why are you telling people, no, I'm not. You got to go to college. Look, I do want people to go to college. And in fact, I want people to go to college to learn how to write the bills, to get in these think tanks. I want America First people to get in these think tanks and start writing some America First bills. I am not minimizing college. I'm saying go in with a plan. Understand why you're going in and what you're doing it for. But everybody at the end of the day has their own story. And if you fumble, if you go in and you're like, oh, I thought I was going to do this, but I'm not going to do that, and I'm fumbling, it's okay. It's called life, You try. Okay, like I said, I would have never thought I would be this age. I love this, though. I do. I'm not complaining. I'm not. But what I'm saying is that you don't know where life is going to take you. But also, we should not tell children, well, if you can't get it together in college and you're going to be a screw up all your life. That's absolutely not true. And even with his statement there, if you can't do remedial algebra, then you won't be successful. Can that person balance a checkbook? I want to be clear. I'm not promoting for a lower IQ society, but I'm saying, is that person consistent? Do they show up? Are they ambitious? Have they been able to stay on top of a workflow within themselves, right? Maybe they don't know what PEMDAS, they're not good at that. Or maybe they do, or maybe they are good at that because they're balancing a checkbook and a budget, but they don't realize it really is a lot of algebra that they are doing that. Are doing with that, right? And they don't call it algebra. I think this is a serious discussion that we need to have in this society. But there's also this notion about going to school for theory. I went to school for gender theory, queer theory, whatever they did to these kids. To do what? Theory. But you better find, and then I'm not going to tell you to market that because I'm not into all that. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.